Well, as we've been talking about budget talks getting down to the wire, I want to get back to Peter Cook on the Hill, who is standing by with Republican Senator Charles Grassley. Peter.
Betty, thanks very much. I'm joined by Iowa Republican Chuck Grassley, who knows these finance and budget issues well. You were here for the last shutdown, 95-96. Give me your sense where we stand right now. Senator Schumer says, listen, we've resolved the spending number. We've resolved most of these policy riders, except really the issue of abortion. Do you agree with him? Is that where we are?
Well, I don't know for sure. I know what I heard last night when the president spoke, and I have not had any official word this morning yet. And there's really only three people that know: the president and Speaker Boehner and Reid. But the important thing is not just dollars. The whole thing here is to get the economy under control and to create jobs, because you know that when you have these big budget deficits, it's a worry to the private sector where we expect jobs to be created. So we want to get a healthy fiscal environment in Washington so that we can get private sectors to hire people.
Let me get you to respond, if I could, just to what one thing Senator Schumer told us. Again, he indicated that the stumbling block here is the abortion issue. Is this funding for Title X that would ultimately go to places like Planned Parenthood? Is that the right issue for Republicans to hold the line in the sand here in Congress, if indeed that's indeed the case?
I think that Republicans want everybody to know that we got the message from the last election. There was a mandate to cut down on spending, and you got to look at it over the next 2 years to prove to the voters we got the issue. So we've got, at least right now, 3 bites at the apple. We got the present amount of money to spend it the rest of this year and an opportunity to maybe change some policy. We also will have the budget issue step, which will come up within a month or two. And then we also have the debt increase, limitation increase. So we've got 3 bites at the apple in the next 3 months to accomplish a lot of policy changes we are. And I don't want to say it's wrong to go after the Title X issue and get that solved now, but there's dozens of issues out there that we want to change things here in Washington. We are going to change things here in Washington, but we got to look at it that we got more than one opportunity to do it.
Do you worry about the political risk to Republicans if there is indeed a shutdown? Whoever's to blame for it, looks like the public might blame both sides.
Well, I think both sides should be blamed. And for Democrats that are worried about they don't want to cut this amount of spending, that Republicans got a mandate to cut spending in the November election, and we want people to know that we got that message. You know, they could have had this out of the way by October 1st if they had passed the 12 appropriation bills like they had this big majority to do last year. Then we wouldn't even be dealing with this issue.
What about the debt limit vote to come? For a lot of our audience, they see this fight over spending. They assume that everyone here will ultimately resolve this, but they do worry about the debt ceiling vote. You serve on the Finance Committee. You know the importance of this issue to investors, to markets out there. How's that going to get resolved?
Well, the United States can't default. We've got to continue operating and to be able to borrow, and the less borrowing the better, and this budget battle is all about less borrowing. We're borrowing 42 cents out of every dollar we spend right now. We've got to get that down. We've got to get to a balanced budget. So I would see the leverage that we can get from the administration and from the Democrat leader of the Senate, that if we get the debt increase through, we ought to have promises to get a constitutional amendment requiring a balanced budget. We ought to be able to get some leverage for automatic cuts if Congress exceeds the budget authority and things like that can long range, because we're not talking just about the next 6 months. We got to be looking ahead the next 60 years.
And let me just ask you finally, there are Americans who look at this fight and they worry greatly about the ability for Congress to resolve those larger budget issues. Your level of optimism, there's some compromise in the future on that?
Well, there's got to be, because if we want to get out of this recession we're in, and 8.8% unemployment is a recession, if we want to create jobs, we've got to have policies here in Washington that are tax-wise, trade-wise, fiscal-wise, monetary-wise, that are sound, that gives confidence to the private sector and the private business people that they'll hire.
All right, Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, appreciate the time. Thanks very much.